Okay, so today we're going to be measuring the voltages on an Atari Space Duel PCB. This is just to check that you have correct operation in your cabinet. Now this is the orientation of the board if it's mounted in your cabinet, sideways like this. So you can see we have Space Duel running right now. So if you have a standard multimeter, set it onto volts DC. And what I've done here is I've clipped, just so I can hold the camera with one hand and use the red probe with my free hand, I've clipped the ground to one of the ground test points. Now there's 3 ground test points on Space Duel. There's one over here, one here, and there's one just here. I'm currently using that as a jumper to my power supply to improve the voltages here, so don't worry about that being connected. That won't be connected in your cabinet. So with your voltmeter set on volts DC, the first measurement you're going to want to take is your 5 volts for your game PCB itself. So as you can see, all the chips are lining facing this direction. All their pin 1s are in this direction. So this means that the rail on the right hand side of the chips is all your +5. So if you measure there, 5.07. The third digit on my meter is not really important. You're looking for 5.0 something, and I like to leave my boards adjusted to between 5.05 and 5.1. Anywhere in amongst that range is safe. So that's the 5 volts for the game board. The next 5 volt point is here, and on older Atari games this 5 volt reference is for the DACs. This one on Space Duel, they didn't bother putting in a separate regulator, it's all combined, so it's actually physically connected to the 5 volt rail as it is. So again, you'll measure 5.08, that's 5 volt for the DACs that need to do their thing. The next voltage you want to check is the plus and minus 22. So you see these rails here, this one here should be plus 22, and the second one should be minus 22. This one says minus 23, that's fine. These voltages are stepped, these are regulated down to different voltages anyway, so it doesn't matter that that's slightly different. So that's the plus and minus 22. The next voltage that's important to check for is you need to go to CR8 here, and you need to put your probe, and be careful not to touch on the foil around it. And this should be your 6.8 volts, and this is a reference voltage for the AVG section. So you need to make sure this voltage is present. This is showing 6.5. Anywhere really from 6.5 to 6.9 is okay, but as you can see, the game is working absolutely fine. There's not a problem with that being at 6.5. Okay, and the next voltages obviously to check would be your plus 15, .04, and the next one would be the minus 15. So these two voltages are what help the board to swing the vectors for your output. If you don't have these voltages, then it's going to be down to your 2 regulators here. That's your minus 15 volt regulator, and that's your plus 15 volt regulator. So as you can see on the minus 15, get minus 15.04. So we can say that all the voltages to allow the game to run are all fine. Now there's one more voltage that you should look at. The other voltages will stop the game from running in various respects, but once you've got the game running, you want to make sure that your high score save chip and your bookkeeping totals are all retained, and this is on your EEPROM. Now this little thing runs on a funky minus 28 volts, so you need to make sure this voltage is present too, and they've actually provided a handy test point here. It actually is marked minus 28 volts, and you can see I've got minus 27.84, which is absolutely fine. pretty much I've worked this circuit will run anywhere down to minus 10 volts, but obviously you need to be around minus 26 to minus 29 for the chip to be operating properly. So if you're in any doubt, there's your test point for minus 28. So there we go, that's Atari Space Duel. Some of those test point measurements are the same on later vector games and slightly different on earlier vector games. I might do another video for one of those. There we go.